Welcome to the Wall of Power Radio Hour. This is your host, Paul Metza. It is raining purple in the Wall of Power Radio Hour land. This week is the 30th anniversary of the movie Purple Rain, featuring one of Minnesota's greatest and most prolific musicians and entertainers, Prince Rogers Nelson. We're going to look back at his start in Minneapolis and chat with his first musical mentor, Pepe Willie, the co-writer of his first hit, studio owner Chris Moon, and finally, a conversation with the original keyboardist in Prince's band, The Revolution, Mr. Matt Fink, including a live studio performance of the two of us doing one of Prince's greatest songs. We're very honored today to have a man who was there at the very beginning of Prince's musical awakening, Mr. Pepe Willie. How are you today, Pepe?
Yo, I'm doing fine, Paul. How you doing? You know, you look good.
I feel good. I feel good. It's so nice of you to take time to come and talk to us. Let's get right into it, man. When did you run into Prince?
Oh, man. I ran into Prince a while. Well, the first time I met him, he was 13.
Wow.
Okay, because I was married to his cousin.
Okay.
And I came here to Minneapolis right after I got out of the Army. And I came here, and I didn't pay no attention to him. He's wrestling on the floor with one of his other cousins and stuff like that.
Right.
You know? So eventually I went back to New York, and Prince called me up when he was 15 and wanted to know about publishing.
Right.
And I talked to him over the phone. I said, yo, man, I said, look, I can't really talk to you on the phone about publishing, but I'll come to Minneapolis. I'll be there soon, and we can sit down and I can tell you the whole story.
So that would be about 1973?
Yeah, I got out of the service in 1970.
Okay.
So that was the first time that I met him in 1970.
So a few years later, 72 or 73, something like that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Okay, that's all right. Who's keeping track? So you came back to Minneapolis and you started to chat about publishing, and where did it go from there?
Well, we talked about publishing. Before that, what happened was my wife's father, my father-in-law, Eddie Mandeville, was giving a ski party at Paul's place. You know, I don't know if you remember that.
No, I don't. Where was that?
Yeah, it was right off, is it 169?
Okay.
Right off of Highway 169. And I can't remember what building it is now. But he had a band playing there. It was a ski party. And the band was Grand Central. Okay, and then this is the first time that I heard the band Grand Central.
And that was Prince's band?
Prince's band.
Was Jelly Bean in that band?
No. But when the time that I came along, Morris Day was the drummer.
Okay.
Andre Simone was the bass player.
Okay.
Prince played guitar. Linda Anderson played keyboards, which is Andre's sister.
Okay.
And William Dowdy, who we call Hollywood, was playing percussion, right? So they was playing a bunch of like Earth, Wind, and Fire tunes, you know, cover stuff like that. And Morris's mother, LaVon, was their manager. Right? So after I heard the band do a couple of sets and stuff, and they had heard about it that I was coming into town. They said, oh, some big-time producers coming into town and stuff.
Right.
And I didn't know that they had said all of this,
Right.
you know.
Mr. Willie's coming.
Yeah, you know, I had produced a couple things, but not to the extent that I'm some big-time producer,
Right.
you know. So, but I did know a lot about the music business. I knew the music business like the back of my hand, you know, because I grew up with my uncle, who's founding member of Little Anthony and the Imperials, who are now into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, inducted in 2009.
Sure. Now, what was your uncle's name?
Clarence Collins.
Wow, I've heard his name.
Yeah. So, you know, they taught me everything. I learned so much from those guys. But
Can you sing a little bit right now?
Well, I think I'm going out of my head. Yes, I think I'm going out of my head.
Oh, yeah. We love that song.
Oh, man, it was great.
That sounds great.
Yeah. And so I went up to LaVon, who was the manager of Grand Central, and I asked her, I says, you know, I would love to work with this group. Do you think it's possible? And she says, yeah, sure. It was great, you know. So automatically we started setting up rehearsals at her house up in the attic.
Great.
You know, they had everything up there. They had a blackboard up there with chalk. You know, you can write things on the board and everything. So I asked these guys, I says, all right. I says, Morris Day had a 7-piece drum set. But they only played 3 drums. I said, yo, man, no, you got to play all of that. I said, you got to turn that sucker around, man. Come on, you know. So
that's what they're there for.
Yeah, you know, I mean, they hit them, you know. So they asked them to play some of the original tunes. They played some cover stuff, and I said, okay, play one of the originals. So Prince had a track called Sex Machine.
Okay.
And Andre had a song called Remind Me of Me. And so I said, all right, go ahead and play it, you know. So those guys started playing Andre's song, You Remind Me of Me. So, and they're playing, they got it going on. They started singing a little bit. And I'm going like, then they started jamming, you know. Right. And they just jammed for like 5 minutes, man. I said, yo, man, whoa, hold up. Wait a minute. I said, first of all, you guys got to have basic construction, writing construction. You have to have an intro. You have to have a first verse. Then you have your hook. I said, the hook is what everybody's going to remember. Right. They're not going to remember the words right now because they don't have the record. But if they went up, you know, to their friends, if the song was playing on the radio, and they says, hey, man, did you hear that song? It was You Remind Me of Me, you know, because that's the hook. That's the only thing they remember.
Well, it's like, you know, like they say in Nashville, don't bore us, get to the chorus.
Right. I love it. I'm going to use that.
Go ahead, yeah.
So, but in any event, so I taught them basic music construction, and I told him, I says, if you use this construction, your songs are going to turn out to be either like 3 minutes, 3:30, or something like that. Right. If you add a bridge or whatever, you know, things like that. So another thing is, I found out when they was doing this song, You Remind Me of Me, everybody was singing something different. They didn't know the words. The only one who knew the words was Andre because he wrote it. So I said, okay, wait a minute. Okay, look, you guys put down your instruments, okay? I said, Prince, grab your guitar. Prince grabbed the guitar. I said, just start, you know, playing a little bit, you know what I mean? So he played a little bit, and I said, okay, that's cool. And he was a great guitar player. Right. I says, cool. I says, well, Andre, write the lyrics of the song on the blackboard, right? And he wrote it up there. So as he's writing, the band members are going like, oh, that's what you were saying? I didn't know what that was saying. I thought you were saying something else, you know what I'm saying? So now everybody's on point. Everybody's, you know, on the same page. They know what the words are. We have the construction down, and we start working that way, you know. And that's how it all happened. And then I also, not only their instrumentation, but I talked to them about the business of music. Right. You know, and that was very important. I told them about recording sessions and how you get paid making money doing recordings in studios. Right. You know, writers' royalties, publishers' royalties, production, what a producer does, a manager, what a manager does. When do you need a manager? When do you don't need a manager? I mean, the whole business aspect, I told them all about this.
A little later in the conversation, Pepe was talking about the time his band 94E was in the studio at Sound 80. And a young Prince played guitar and sang background vocals on several of the tracks. This is a great story about a song Pepe and Prince wrote together. After the story, we're going to hear this original song, one of the first Prince ever recorded.
Actually, what happened, I wrote the music, and Prince came in, and I played it for him. And he goes like, oh, wow. He said, that's great, man. He says, I think I'm going to have some lyrics for that, you know. And he took it, you know, and then he brought it back next day. And that was it. That was the song. You take me out dancing. You fly me all around the world. You whisper sweet words in my ear. What makes you think I'm that kind of girl? You know what I'm saying?
I love
just
it.
Just another sucker.
Wow.
So that's how that merged. And, so it was great.
I love that poetry. stay tuned to the Wall of Power Radio Hour. In the next set, we will introduce you to Chris Moon, the studio owner who encouraged Prince Rogers Nelson to shorten his name to Prince.
The number one source of the Twin Cities gay scene is all digital. Follow Twin Cities Gay Scene on Facebook and Twitter. Sign up for the Scene Shot email blast for weekly updates and chances to win great prizes. No app is needed to view the bi-weekly web editions of Scene. It's GLBTQ media for the mobile generation. Find it all at TwinCitiesGayScene.com. That's TwinCitiesGayScene.com.
Food nourishes us. We need food to live. But how are we nourishing the food system? Well, actually, we're throwing a bunch of chemicals and we're making the dirt dead, and then we're adding nitrates to the water, and we're causing dead zones in the ocean. Oh, and we're also causing climate change. We do that with every bite we eat. But we can create something different. We can switch to a regenerative system. And that's what we talk about every week on Food Freedom Radio. So tune to Food Freedom Radio Saturdays at 8 a.m. or anytime via podcast. Food Freedom Radio on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hi, friends. I've been talking to you about Minnesota's first green cemetery, Prairie Oaks Memorial Eco Gardens. It's an entirely new way of looking at our last earthly step. Burials are designed to have as little impact on the environment as possible. For many of us, a continuation of the commitment we made during our lifetimes. Let me suggest you go to the website, mngreengraves.com. Explore what it is. Prairie Oaks Memorial Eco Gardens. It's a lovely place, a peaceful place. Minnesota's first green cemetery.
Hi, I'm Scott Peterson with the Minnesota News Network, inviting you to join us this week for Minnesota Matters, a news, entertainment, and sports show covering everything that matters in the North Star State. Tune us in right here or at your convenience at minnesotanewsnetwork.com.
Listen to Minnesota Matters every weekend, Saturday mornings at 5:30 and Sunday mornings at 6:30 on AM 950.
I'm Candy Broffel, publisher of the Twin Cities edition of Natural Awakenings magazine and host of Green Tea Conversations, a news show for people who are on a journey to take responsibility for their health and play a more active role in their family's well-being. Join me every Sunday at 10 a.m. as I interview local experts who share the latest in natural holistic approaches in a fun and informative way. So grab a cup of tea and join the conversation as we awaken to natural health. Visit us at naturaltwincities.com.
The Downtowner Woodfire Grill in St. Paul is the perfect choice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week. Offering daily fresh seafood specials, fire-roasted meats, exquisite pizza, and half-price bottles of wine on Mondays and Tuesdays, except on Xcel Energy event nights. Once you experience their cozy fireside dining, extensive wine list, and bar, you'll be back for more. Gift certificates and private dining room for parties available. Located at 253 West 7th Street with plenty of free parking, or online at downtownerwoodfire.com.
Hi, Matt McNeil for Rudy Luther Toyota. My first Toyota and the vehicle which made me fall in love with Toyotas was the RAV4. Now, Toyota is just teasing me as they have an all-new, fully redesigned RAV4. It's gorgeous. A distinct exterior that pops and a refined interior which has everything you want and room to move. And the big news is the RAV4 now comes in a hybrid version. Remember, every new Toyota comes with Toyota Care, 2 years of free maintenance. Test drive the new RAV4 today at Rudy Luther Toyota, the southeast corner of 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
We have a very special guest on the Wall of Power Radio Hour, a fellow who's been nice enough to give us some time this afternoon. From the sunny climes in Florida, Mr. Chris Moon, who used to run a place called Moon Sound on 28th and DuPont in Minneapolis. Chris, thanks for taking some time with us today.
It's my pleasure indeed, and I'm delighted to spend some time with you today.
So when people study the history of what we know now as the Minneapolis Sound, a lot of musicians that we associate with that sound recorded at your studio at some point, correct?
Well, I don't know who you'd be referring to.
Well,
which one?
Andre Simone.
Oh, yeah, Andre, and Des was there, and
right.
I produced Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, and
those are the guys I'm thinking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Minneapolis Black Sound was really promoted and got off the ground by a bunch of white guys with various recording studio skills. And And it was really an interesting time. I remember when I was starting to do, black music, and maybe that's not a copacetic thing to say, but that's what it was. I was recording a lot of black bands, but I was getting death threats. I mean, it was a pretty volatile time back then. And people were not really comfortable with the ethnic mix of the cities, I don't think, at that point in time. And as the music became more popular and as it became more identified with Minneapolis, I think Minneapolis in the process became more of a, comfortably mixed race city.
Well, it's such a beautiful circle we have here because Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis recorded at your place, and now we record the Wall of Power Radio Hour at the old Flight Time Studios, which Jimmy and Terry built, which is now the Minneapolis Media Institute. So I love that circle. Tell us a little bit about the first time you heard Prince.
Well, it was fairly unremarkable. In fact, I would endeavor to say it was completely forgettable. I don't remember the first time I heard Prince because I was producing and recording a band named Champagne that had come into the studio, and it was a bunch of very young kids. I say very young, 15, 16-year-old, young artists who was being managed by one of the mothers of one of them, and she had come and booked the time. And so these young guys came into the studio, and we were putting together, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 songs for them over the course of a couple weeks. And so the first time Prince walked in, he was just another member of another band that was being recorded, and was in that respect unremarkable because at the time he was even quieter and even more shy and almost invisible. He passed quietly through the halls without notice. But those sessions were really a curious timing because as that band came in and was recording, I was still working at the ad agency, and I had always written songs and poems, probably going back to when I was 10, 11, 12. And I was having these thoughts that, here I am spending all my time producing these other recording artists and musicians, most of which I'm doing for free. Maybe I should get some expression out myself and start doing some of my own songs. And so the arrival of Prince and Champagne in the studio coincided with this thought that, I needed to start expressing myself more musically. And so I started thinking about finding a band to collaborate with. And it wasn't that I was thinking about Champagne as a band because they probably wouldn't have been my target demographic for a group. I probably would have looked for someone older and more experienced. But what the gelling thought, the key idea that occurred to me when I was sitting there recording this band, and I remember it was in the middle of a song, and they were playing that, and I had this thought that, the problem with trying to do my own music is working with a band means I got to get 4 or 5 guys to all show up at the same time.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, and I spent enough time in the recording studio to realize that, that's near impossible. Mm-hmm. Either the drummer's hungover, or the guitarist is off with his girlfriend, or the bass player is car broken down. I mean, there were so many constant variables. I thought, there's no way this is ever going to work. So I was scratching my head, pondering this problem, and then the band went on break, and everybody went off, and Prince stayed behind. Everyone else had gone across to the 31 Flavors to get their ice creams. Prince stayed behind, and he was running around. He played a bit on the drums. Then he went and played a bit on the piano. Then he ran over and played a bit on the guitar. And then I said, here's the answer. Right. I don't try and work with a band. I find one guy who can play all the instruments. Then all I got to do is get one guy to show up.
And that was the guy.
And that was, right guy, right time, right place.
Do you remember the first song you two wrote together?
Bizarre as it sounds in retrospect, I mean, I reached into my pocket, handed in the keys to everything I owned in life. Because everything I had was in the studio, and I said, here's the keys to my studio, come and let yourself in after school, and I'll leave some songs on the piano for you. The first song, curiously enough, I had a while, I had a recording studio and a fashion photography business going in the studio, so let's just say I was socially active. And
that's
and I had a
diplomatic way of putting that, Chris. I like that.
So I had a particularly engaging evening, and there was more than one girl involved, and I had to get up early in the morning and go off to work the next day. And I'm at the ad agency recovering from a little excessive inebriation, and so I start writing this song about the evening that I had, and that ended up being the first. That ended up being the first song that we did together, and curiously enough, ended up being Prince's first hit on his first album.
And that was Soft and Wet.
That was Soft and Wet. Yeah. And the funny thing with that song is when it finally came out, my mother heard it, and she was a very, very proper English woman. In fact, I'd never heard my mother swear. I mean, she was that proper.
Until she heard the tune.
Well, no. So she hears this song on the radio, and she said, "Well, I like the song, but what is it about what's soft and wet?" And I remember at that moment, the world became just, this terribly small place. And I looked over at my father, who was standing there next to me. He looked back and he says, "You're on your own, son." and perspiration appears on my forehead, and I'm sweating bullets. And I'm thinking, what am I going to tell my mother? And then in the moment of inspiration, it all came to me, and I looked her square in the eyes and said, "Mother, it's about a kiss."
Well, there you go. That's what I always thought. We'll be back in the third set with Prince's keyboard player, Matt Fink.
Eat fresh and support local farmers this summer by shopping at the Minneapolis Farmers Market. The market has the best selection of fresh and local fruits and vegetables, meats, and farmstead goods. It's not too late to pick up plants and flowers. Also, fresh at the market is asparagus, rhubarb, and green onions. The Minneapolis Farmers Market is open every day, 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. Plus, there's additional locations Tuesdays at the Hennepin County Government Center and Thursdays at Nicollet Mall. More details at mplsfarmersmarket.com.
Native Roots Radio is proud to announce we've added an extra hour.
Yeah, Chushke, 1 hour goes by too fast.
That's right, Uncle Curtis.
I'll have extra time to share important information about our secret animals.
And report national and native news from all over the country and Canada.
This new hour is sponsored by Robbins Kaplan LLP, dedicated to redefining excellence for high-stakes litigation representation in Indian country.
We are awake.
Hi, I'm Peter Solak.
And I'm Adam Ostrowski.
We are here at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces to talk about outdoor fires. Sitting around a fire is the oldest, most basic form of human activity.
What's new is in the way fire is burned. We can show you how to burn cleaner with a lot less smoke.
The radiant heat and light from an open fire is unmatched. It kindles our spirits and connects us to the outdoors. And now it's easier to experience and enjoy.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces sells and installs wood and gas burning fire pits and fireplaces. Let us help you experience an outdoor fire without all the smoke.
Come see the many ways you can enjoy a fire outdoors.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood and gas units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. More information at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that works for you. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
Visit the wine bar at Cafe Latte and enjoy a unique handcrafted pizza and glass of wine. The perfect place for an intimate night or an evening with friends. Choices range from spicy Italian sausage and sweet roasted peppers to the one-of-a-kind nacho chicken pizza layered with blue corn tortilla chips. The approachable wine list offers over 30 by the glass with special emphasis on wines from Washington State. End your night with one of Cafe Latte's melt-in-your-mouth desserts, 850 Grand Avenue, St. Paul.
Hello, friends. I've been talking to you about Prairie Oaks Memorial Eco Gardens, Minnesota's first green cemetery dedicated to celebrating life and protecting our environment. One of the many wonderful things they have is something called the living urn. Ashes are buried in an urn with seedlings ultimately coming back to life as a glorious tree. Isn't that a beautiful thing? Why don't you log on to the website mngreengraves.com. Learn more about Prairie Oaks Memorial Eco Gardens. See if it might be something that's meaningful for you.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Sam Turnberg. Tonight is mostly clear with a low around 62. Tomorrow we got a chance of storms with a high near 75. Monday sunny with a high near 75. Tuesday partly sunny with a high near 77. And Wednesday partly sunny with a high near 69.
During Standard's Ready Set Save sale, you can save $900 on a new ductless unit or air conditioner. That's what we call cool cash. Learn more about getting your $900 in savings at standardheatingdeals.com. Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, comfort you deserve.
We have a very special guest with our It's Raining Purple episode on the Wall of Power Radio Hour. A man who I had the pleasure to get to know just a few years ago, although I've been listening to his music via Prince for over 30 years. Mr. Matt Fink, thanks for joining us this afternoon.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure to be here.
You are a Minneapolis native, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I grew up in St. Louis Park, actually, which is the earliest, one of the early inner ring suburbs of the Twin Cities on the western side of Minneapolis.
And when did you start playing music?
My parents got me started taking piano lessons at the age of about 6.
30 years ago?
Yeah. Actually, yeah.
Yeah,
50. No, 40. I'm sorry. 50.
We're the same age. So you've been doing it as long as I have, about 50 years.
Yes.
Which is that's about as long as it takes to get to know what you're doing, right?
That's very true. Yeah, I'm still learning every day.
Well, let's get right into it. How did you hook up with Prince?
Prince was introduced to me by Bobby Rivkin, who is a.k.a. Bobby Z, the drummer with Prince from the Revolution, and the first drummer in the band, which was formed in 1978. Bobby actually also went to St. Louis Park High School with me. He was 2 grades ahead of me, but we knew each other. We were playing in different bands at the time, and even his mother and my mother knew each other. Actually, our parents knew each other, and they used to do fundraising events together for the Mount Sinai Hospital back in the 1960s.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so our families knew each other, and Bobby came to me one day, I believe it was 1977. I was playing with a cover band at the time called Zachariah. And
what kind of music were you guys playing?
We were playing pop rock. We were playing all the top 40 hits on the radio, like Boston, and we were doing you name it.
Okay.
Sticks,
Sure.
whatever was happening at the time. Elton John, whatever. Anyway, so Bobby comes to this gig we were doing at the Hopkins Bowl and says, "Hey, Matt, I need you to hear this demo tape of this artist that I've gotten to know." And he takes me out to his car during a break, and he plays me Prince's first demo that was done. Maybe this was the second one, because we were just talking about Moon Sound when he worked with Chris Moon, but this was when his Bobby's brother David Rivkin produced a demo that was used to shop him to the record labels out in Los Angeles.
Also known as David Z.
David Z, yeah, David Rivkin, David Z. So this was recorded at Sound 80 at the time, which was one of the other state-of-the-art rooms in Minneapolis, and Bobby plays this demo of Prince, and of course it was absolutely amazing. And I said, "Wow, who's the band?" And he said, it's not a band. I go, what do you mean it's not a band? He goes, it's just a guy doing everything.
Wow.
It's an artist playing all the instruments and singing and writing and the whole thing. I go, you're kidding. I go, how old is he? He goes, he's your age. And at that time, I was 19.
Wow.
So Prince was obviously 19 or 18-ish at the time. I'm a little bit older than Prince by a few months.
A real one-man band.
A real one-man band. And so I was so highly impressed with that, of course, that I immediately said, well, if he decides to form a group to play that material, please put my name into the ring on that one.
Teacher, call on me.
Exactly. Teacher, call me. That's perfect. So I threw my hat in the ring at that time. And then, later on down the road, once Prince did get his record deal with Warner Brothers, I had a shot at auditioning for him, but I was not the first choice for keyboard player. Ricky Peterson had that role, and they went with him sight unseen due to his fabulous talent and reputation. And when he opted out to work with some other people out in Los Angeles, producing and working with another artist for a little while, in the midst of working with Prince in those early days, Prince decided to put his feelers out for other keyboard players, and then I was able to audition at that point and get into the group.
Where was the audition?
The audition was held at Pepe Willie's basement.
And we're going to be speaking with Pepe in the next set.
Yes, and Pepe was another one of Prince's mentors, like Chris Moon, amongst others. And in that first year of the formation of the band, when he had his initial album out, the first album out, For You, which had the single Soft and Wet, which was penned by Prince and Chris Moon, Pepe was volunteering the use of his home for the band. Now, initially, they did have another rehearsal space, but apparently they left that and went to, by the time I was in the band, they were working at Pepe's house. So that's where I auditioned, and that was about mid-October of 1978.
Wow.
Yeah.
That month after I moved to Minneapolis.
Yeah.
I remember hearing about him at that time, just rumors about this supremely talented young cat that played everything and sang. So do you remember what tunes you played in the rehearsal? Were you just doing covers just so he could get a feel of your playing ability?
No, actually, he requested that I learn 3 songs, 2 or 3 from the album, from the For You album. Soft and Wet, I believe Why You Want to Treat Me So Bad, or was that off the second album? I can't remember now. Just As Long As We're Together, that was another track off of there. And it's been a while, so I'm not sure the third one. But anyway, when I did get to the rehearsal and I met him, he asked me if I had learned the song So Blue off the album, and I said no, I hadn't learned that one, and I was a little concerned that maybe I was supposed to know that, and I apologized for not learning it. And then he said, well, don't worry about it because there's no keyboards on it anyway. And then he burst out laughing as if he just sort of wanted to play a little
mind game
joke on me. And so I went, okay, no problem. So then we got to working on the other songs. First we jammed for a while. He just wanted to jam and see how I would improvise or come up with grooves or whatever.
Was he playing guitar during the session?
Yes, he was playing guitar at that point. And then when it came time to play Soft and Wet, I revealed to him that, well, I kind of learned the keyboard parts, but they're hard to hear because they're buried in the mix quite a bit, and I couldn't quite pick out the exact part. Do you think you could show it to me? And he said, wow, okay. So he started playing the what was called the clavinet part, and which is a certain kind of keyboard made famous by Stevie Wonder. It's called the Hohner clavinet. When you listen to the song Superstition, it's the signature keyboard sound on that record. So he actually showed me the part, and I was able to pick up on it pretty quickly and learn it directly from him just by watching him play it. And he was very impressed with that because he said that all the other keyboardists who had auditioned up to that point also struggled with that part because it was blended into the mix a specific way, and you could only it was hard to pick out 100%. And so I played it exactly how he showed it to me, and I think he was impressed with that, and then that may have helped his decision to hire me.
Well, he loved your intuition and your great ear.
Exactly.
When did you start writing songs with Prince?
It was the third album, the Dirty Mind album. First he had For You, did that all himself, and he did the second album, which had the I Want to Be Your Lover was the single. That was the second album, just called Prince. And then the Dirty Mind album is when he took a musical groove that I came up with and created the song Dirty Mind around that, lyrics and melody.
So would it just be you two sitting down, like with keyboards or guitars? Just the two of you?
Yeah, in a way. The issue with Dirty Mind is that one was germinated, the idea was germinated during a jam session with the band, actually. We were just playing around, and I happened upon this keyboard riff that he really liked, and then he invited me out to his home studio, that evening, and he had me record that with him. And then by the following day, at rehearsal, he had shown up back with the song with lyrics and melody and guitars added onto everything we had done with drums and keyboards the night before.
All in the night's work for Prince.
All in the night's work for Prince, exactly. I left about midnight, and then he finished it throughout the night.
He's a night owl, isn't he?
He is. He was a night owl. He probably still is to this day. You know, like a lot of artists are. A lot of musicians are like that.
You're listening to Dirty Mind by Prince, co-written by my guest, Dr. Matt Fink. We'll have more conversation with Dr. Fink and the fourth set, and also live performance.
The number one source of the Twin Cities gay scene is all digital. Follow Twin Cities Gay Scene on Facebook and Twitter. Sign up for the Scene Shot email blast for weekly updates and chances to win great prizes. No app is needed to view the bi-weekly web editions of Scene. It's GLBTQ media for the mobile generation. Find it all at TwinCitiesGayScene.com. That's TwinCitiesGayScene.com.
This is New Beginnings, hosted by award-winning broadcaster and speaker Freddie Bell.
Freddie, this generation of the baby boomers, people are living longer, so the baby boomers are taking care of elderly parents.
Let's talk about your health, and specifically, let's talk about Medicare. Our show features the concerns of America's 78 million baby boomers in employment, finance, health and nutrition, and even entertainment.
Catch New Beginnings with Freddie Bell, Saturdays at 11 on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
This is Ellie Krug from Ellie 2.0 Radio on Mondays from 7 to 8 a.m. Many listeners know that I founded Human Inspiration Works, LLC, which trains on human inclusivity and on how to be welcoming to diverse humans. Today, organizations of all sizes find that they need to train team members on diversity and inclusion. I can do that. Many say that my trainings change the way they see the world. I'd love to help make your organization more welcoming. For more information, go to humaninspirationworks.com. Thank you.
Hi, it's Tom Hartman. You know, Continental Diamond is special for a lot of reasons. The owners are Jimmy and Helene Pessis, a husband and wife team who had a dream to open their own store more than 30 years ago. They've built a business that is the gold standard. The readers of Minnesota Bride magazine have named Continental Diamond the best jeweler for the last 7 years. Why? Amazing, friendly, no-pressure customer service, a selection of fine diamonds and design jewelry unlike anywhere else, and the fresh-baked chocolate chip cookies are pretty great, too. Continental Diamond in St. Louis Park and at continentaldiamond.com.
Pride weekend is almost here, and there is something for everyone. From the Friday Night Beer Dabbler on the 21st, featuring 50 local brewers, to Pride in concert on Saturday, June 22nd in Loring Park with the headliner TLC. And you can't forget about the Rainbow Run leading into the Ashley Rooks Pride Parade on Sunday, June 23rd. This is a festival and celebration you do not want to miss. Get your tickets now. VIP is still available with free food and drinks. Go to tcpride.org. That's tcpride.org. We'll see you there.
Does your dog deserve food that is as wholesome as the food you feed your family? Food that is natural without artificial ingredients? At Total Dog Company, we carry Nature's Logic brand dry and canned foods. Nature's Logic pet foods are made without any synthetic vitamin mixes or other synthetic nutrients. All the goodness comes from real food. Find Nature's Logic at Total Dog Company in New Hope, right off of 169 at 9432 36th Avenue North, and at TotalDogCompany.com.
So did you travel the whole world with Prince while you played with the Revolution over the years?
That's correct, yes. I spent 12 years with Prince.
It must have been an amazing thing when you were there from the beginning, just to watch the whole phenomenon grow. You did open for the Rolling Stones.
We did open for the Rolling Stones in... could have been late 1980, early 81. Wow. I can't remember the exact date. I'd have to look that up. But Mick Jagger was highly impressed with Prince.
Oh, I bet.
And wanted to introduce him more to the world through their fan base. So they wanted to help break Prince, obviously, and they invited us out to do 3 or 4 or 5 shows. They were indoor stadium, dome stadium shows, except for the first ones, which were at the LA Coliseum in front of 90,000 people.
Wow, what did that feel like?
Amazing. That was crazy to be in front of that many people. Very nerve-wracking. It was quite an experience to be backstage with all the paparazzi and all the other artists that were there performing. You had Jay Giles Band on the bill. You had George Thorogood and the Destroyers, us, and the Stones.
Wow.
And we were the very first group to go on, of course, and our set was only, maybe half hour, 35 minutes long. So we take the stage, and I'd say about the first 50 rows of people, half of them gave us the finger.
That was Thorogood's fans.
Whoever they were, it was Thorogood, Stones, whatever, was the hardcore Hell's Angels people that the Stones would attract. And because, of course, they used to be their bodyguards back in the day.
Right.
And, anyway, I thought, well, what happened to the 60s crowd, the peace and love crowd? Why are they being so mean to us? And so they were kind of offended by Prince's image, I think, because in those days he was wearing a trench coat, bikini briefs, thigh-high stockings, and high-heel boots, and a bandana with no shirt. So something... Apparently that offended even the 60s crowd. I don't know why.
Still a great look, though.
Still a great look. When you look back on it now, yeah.
It would never work for me, but,
No. I wouldn't put on.
Yeah, so what... boy, and not long after that...
There was a lot of food thrown at us, by the way, too. I just want you to know. Anyway, we'll get back into that later. Go ahead.
So, not long after that, all of a sudden, the movie Purple Rain is starting to come together.
That's correct. Well, you had two albums that was the Dirty Mind album, the Rolling Stones episode.
Right.
And then you had Controversy following that, 1999, and it was really during the 1999 tour that Prince was coming up with the idea to do the Purple Rain movie.
Did he talk to you about that at all?
Not until the end of the tour, the 1999 tour, he sat down with me and discussed it at that point, yeah.
I play an instrumental version of Purple Rain. Thanks for listening to the Wall of Power Radio Hour. This show was produced by Paul Metza, recorded at the Minneapolis Media Institute, and engineered by Brad Knaber. We'd like to thank our guests and sponsors. Like us on Facebook at Wall of Power Radio. Follow us online at wallofpowerradio.com. This is your host, Paul Metza, reminding you to be kind and make someone happy.